Well, good day. My name is Carol Lindsey. I'm a family nurse practitioner and a member of the Florida Clinicians for Climate Action, FCCA. And I'm very excited to be here today to talk to the Florida Public Health Association, you all, about public health and climate change. And the objectives today will be that upon completion of this presentation, the learner will be able to understand what climate change is, describe at least 3 ways climate change affects public health, describe what public health professionals' role is in climate change, and explain at least 2 types of populations that are more vulnerable to the health impacts of climate change. So what is climate change? Well, according to NASA, it describes a change in the average conditions such as temperature and rainfall in a region over a long period of time. And what NASA scientists have been observing is that the Earth's surface is warming, and many of the warmest years on record have actually happened in the past 20 years. 2023 was the warmest year since global records began in 1850. So the Earth's surface is warming. This is a change in average conditions, and specifically with temperature, and sometimes this is referred to as global warming. So there's both human and natural influences on global warming that this graph is showing, but the most important lines that I'd like you to look at is the blue line and the red line, and in the center of those other squiggly lines. And the blue line is representing natural drivers. And we have on the bottom the years from 1880 to the 2000s. And then on the left, on the y-axis, we have temperature showing temperature increases. And natural drivers such as volcanoes erupting or letting gases out normally while they're existing. And also there's solar and tectonic changes, and there's regular changes that are happening with our Earth that are contributing. These are natural influences to global temperature possibly getting warmer. But you see it's only going up a little bit with this blue line. But the red line that's in the center of all these squiggly lines, other squiggly lines, these are human drivers. This graph is showing that carbon dioxide, which is represented by the green line, has been increasing simultaneously with the temperature, which is represented by the blue line from the 1880s to now. It just keeps going up. The temperature on our Earth just keeps going up, and that's why we're experiencing such extreme, and they believe that human activities are the biggest contributor to this. But why? Why is this heat so important to you all as public health professionals? First of all, any of us can be harmed by these health impacts from climate change, but specifically children, elderly, and people with disabilities, pregnant women, socioeconomically disadvantaged, people with chronic illnesses, outdoor workers or people that play outside, people with mental health effects, and other populations. Generally speaking of this detail, that public health professionals, they work to understand and educate the public on the health consequences of climate change. They help communities prepare for climate, that prevention. Maybe they get involved in events about heat warnings, heat wave warnings, air quality alerts. Maybe if you're an epidemiologist or you're working with mosquito control programs, you might get involved in that, storm warnings, or detection, tracking, and management of emergencies. So how has extreme heat affected you personally? Heat-related illnesses include heat stroke. And by the way, heat is the leading weather-related killer in the United States. Severe weather like hurricanes and destruction, this is also exacerbated by the heat. And severe flooding too, because when it's hot outside, especially humid hot, that creates water vapor. This leads to increased precipitation, which leads to increased flooding. This is an acronym that you can use for climate impacts from Florida Clinicians for Climate Action and Medical Consortium. H for heat illness, E for exacerbation of heart and lung conditions, A for asthma, T traumatic injury, W water and waterborne illnesses, A for allergies, V for vector-borne, and E for emotional sources. And then these are more resources. I'd be happy if you needed more information or if you need someone to do a presentation to your community. Here's my Gmail. If you have any questions, please let me know.